Hello, how is it going? It is Fakehero coming at you once again with another Legends of Runeterra video. Today we're going to break down a match, okay? That's Endure Spiders versus Karma Ezreals. Myself piloting the Endure Spiders. This game in particular, I found it interesting because some of the decisions that were made you might not see often or you might not have even thought of. So we're actually going to commentate over this match. This way we're going to actually break down and pause on some of the key turns, and I'm going to go super into depth with the decisions that are made. I don't think you tend to hear enough from players about why they make their decisions or really understand or explain it. So my goal for this video is that you guys might be able to learn a little bit more, understand a bit more in depth, and really break down reasons why decisions are made. I think it's important in card games to have a rough idea of why we do it. So hopefully you can enjoy the video. If you make it towards the end, would you please be kind to leave a like? That'll be a super great help to me, as you know, making these videos takes up a bit of my time, and just one like makes a huge difference. Okay, so enjoy the video and I'll see you next time. Okay, so here we go. First of all, in the Mulligan, we look for Glimpse Beyond. I make an interesting decision to keep Atrocity. As inexperience, it's basically the way we win in this matchup. We can sometimes pressure them down, but in general, it's Atrocity. I made some adjustments to the audio just to turn up some nice, calm ambient noise. Hand's looking pretty okay. I mean, we have the Elise and the Vile Feast. I did throw back the Vile Feast initially, but it's not going to be the worst thing to have. So I am floating mana on purpose here because I don't feel like I need to play anything. I mean, I do have Atrocity. I'm looking for that kind of win condition. Basically, if I can negate him from getting any value for Ezreal or making pretty much like no real productive plays if I don't play anything. But he sends out the Solitary Monk here. I'm going to pause it here. This is an important decision. First of all, I need to talk about Solitary Monk. In this matchup, it is super threatening. There's no direct way I can deal with it, and it can pretty much win the matchup on the spot. So here's our first big decision of the match. Please let me explain. So basically, we need this Elise to stick for two reasons. One is so that we can try and gain board and tempo, pretty straightforward stuff too. But two, most likely, my opponent will block with the Elise, which will open up to a Vile Feast. It's a pretty nervous play though, because there's going to be plenty of answers he could have here to deal with the Elise. Being Thermonic Beam or Get Excited, but this is kind of a risk I decided to take because it can pretty much change the pace of the game. Let's continue.
I know just the place.
I must get out of here.
We could use a bite. I know just the place. If I must.
Unfortunately enough, there was no direct answer to the Elise, and he'll actually proceed to take the block with the Solitary Monk, which is massive for us because we get to clear it with the Vile Feast. So super lucky there, and it completely changes the pace of the game and how we can proceed to play. If at that point he plays to Get Excited, I'm in a real shit spot, and I won't really know what the matchup looks like after that. All I can know is that hopefully well, realistically, it just gets tough. Scary turn. The Temporal Ezreal does get matched by Icevale Archer, so this is good for us. This is interesting because it does block Ezreal from attacking, therefore no Mystic Shot. Interesting mechanic, but important to understand, guys, that Frostbite attackers don't actually attack. I'm not really sure, but they just don't get the effects. Yeah, I believe an open attack is just fine. There'll be some sort of tricks that he'll play. Spells will happen here. I'm sure of it. Obviously, I am sure of it. I played the game, but it's not uncommon for them to have plenty of answers here. The Jury Rig's a bit of a stinker. He does get a really good block against the Icevale Archer. And then the Mystic Shot, not pause worthy, but a big decision to make here. I'm going to decide here to play the Glimpse. I would like to get some card draw and at least denying the Ezreal from leveling. At worst, my opponent does commit another spell, which in sense is a win. The card draw would be ideal though. That's the main reason for this. We did find the Broad Awakening. Opens up options for this turn to be wary of.
Save the homestead.
The order rewards its faithful.
He drops Shadow Assassin. Pretty straightforward. I just go for the Broad here. It's a great way to keep staying on the board and forcing awkward spells from my opponent. Basically, he looks for his static shocks to deal with this board, etc.
The egg. Did it move? The egg. Did it move?
I'll just drop the Aristocrat, which is maybe not too much of a problem. We're a few turns away from Tryndamere and our board's just thick. Obviously no block. Nothing to do here but pass. From what I remember, the Mystic Shot just goes down one of the 2/1 spiders. There's a Static Shock here too. No response for me.
Sure.
Another Mystic Shot. Pretty much opens up pretty easy Broad. I think having 2 copies of Broad Awakening was really good in this match. And it's kind of the cards that we look for in certain situations. And he's been dropping a lot of spells. So we've seen 2 Mystic Shots, I'm pretty sure, as well as Static Shock. 2 times, I'm pretty sure.
I must get out of here.
Board's full, open attack.
Get out of here. Obstacle, meet gauntlet.
It's too late for you.
Obstacle, meet gauntlet.
It's too late for you.
He sets up his blockers.
You cannot escape. You cannot escape.
Okay, another pause, another important turn, and an interesting turn. This is the one I really want to talk about, guys. So typically the play I'm about to choose is not ideal, but for a couple of reasons I chose this line. Please allow me to break it down. First and most important is that in my current deck list I have 2 copies of Atrocity. I won't go into too much detail because only a small amount of the reason why I chose this line. Okay, the expected result would be that he spends more resources to clear the spider, possibly a Will of Ionia, Deny, or Static Shock. I also wanted to confuse my opponent. I thought it would be kind of interesting and funny. The next move he makes will give me a lot of information about his hand as well. Static Shock is most likely the best play here. If I see it, then look, that's pretty unlucky, mainly because of the card draw and the clearing. But as you can see, look, I have Tryndamere in hand. I'm pretty sure I can win without atrocity, necessarily. And maybe I'll draw another copy. Towards the end of the match, I'm going to talk about this play again. But let's proceed.
Firing.
Rummage, more Suckle. Hate to see it. Spooks me a lot.
Dangerous.
Open attack.
Sounds dangerous. I'm in.
I just dropped the Tryndamere here. We're going in for it. It's good that we're on his turn. We're coming back into our turn with Tryndamere already on the field.
You name it, I'll nick it.
So he chooses to Mystic Shot on the spiders. This does free up space on my board. And that opens up to our top deck, They Who Endure. I immediately play it because the best outs at this point for my opponent would be 2 copies of Will of Ionia. I'm convinced he doesn't have it because I'm a fucking mind reader. But honestly, it makes more sense to play it first here because there is no slow play my opponent can make I'm concerned about. Dynamic Beam doesn't deal enough damage to the Tryndamere to be relevant. So as we saw, we did see the will. So I go on with the Frenzy Skitterer here just to apply more pressure, and the Skitterer most likely can go face as well. I think it's looking good. You need another will here. He hasn't played it. Drops the karma, and we're going in.
It's too late for you.
By force of will. By force of will. What's that you got there?
Okay, also, I have to mention, because I finally understand, when you target your cards during combat, only when you have the attack token and your opponent is blocking, or vice versa, the unit that is being targeted, if it's on the defense from my attacker, then if you destroy a minion, like with a Glimpse Beyond or a Mystic Shot like this, the attack will still go through. I know it sounds simple, and I'll probably get flamed by 99% of the viewers here, but for the 1% like myself who didn't understand, well, now you do. Wow, I wish I understood that earlier. Rito, please explain this game to me. Okay, so in the end, the atrocity, it didn't make much of a difference, but I found it interesting. I wouldn't have ever considered the line I took previously, but I guess as you play and you understand the game more, and you kind of a bit more open-minded, you start to see more lines and opportunities that you would consider. You would also maybe call this an incorrect play, but I'll tell you what, I would love to hear your thoughts. What would you have done? Or any part of this game for that fact, but please be open-minded. I really want to get better, and we could probably improve together. Now, also, if you did enjoy this style of content, please let me know. It's important I understand what content you would like to see. And also, if you did enjoy it, why not subscribe? And you can come follow me on Twitter. Links in the description. I would love to hear from you. Anyway, guys, you have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you made it this far, I appreciate it.